on. And we are live Wednesday night, September 28, 2022. Tons and tons of sports news to get into. We're going to hit all the angles tonight. Let's get going right away. We'll start with a little serious note, and we'll start with our first person on the panel, Mr. Paul Rosen. How are you, Paul?
Good, Kurt. Thank you so much. Good evening, everybody. Some of you, or many of you know, I live in Florida right now, and needless to say, this hurricane is of epic proportions, according to the experts. And ironically, the town that I live in, Port Charlotte, Florida, which is between Fort Myers and Sarasota, is right at the spot that was hit by landfall, the hurricane this afternoon. So I want to send out prayers to everybody I know. I know a number of us on the panel have friends, relatives in Florida right now. I want to wish them all the best, send all the prayers. I hope everybody makes it through. We'll survive this and move forward. But again, it's an epic, unfortunately, an epic hurricane, and I wish everybody the best.
Thank you, Paul. I'll echo you on that. My opening statement, same thing. Prayers, thoughts, and prayers with everybody in that area. You see some stuff, you just watch it on TV, and you're just like, oh my God, I can't even imagine. So again, from me, thoughts and prayers. Ryan.
Sorry about that. No, that's about as much as I can say. You know, there's a lot of us, either if we're not there, we know somebody, or we have close people who have someone there. And, you know, the chain is never as long as you think. So, you know, my prayers have been out to the people down in Florida and to the people who have already been affected, both on domestic front and off domestic front. Obviously, it hit places like Cuba very aggressively as well. So just praying that everyone makes it through. You know, you know, there's obviously a lot of difficulty with all of this, but it's, you know, the lives are the most irreplaceable thing.
We have a comment from Laura Siciliano Virtue saying prayers for Florida and for you. Mr. Siciliano.
Yes, same thing. I want to send prayers to my cousin Michelle. That's Laura's sister. She lives in Coral Gables. I have a personal friend that I went to high school with, played ball with, Frank Ripley. He lives in Naples. Prayers to him. And my good friend Richard Del Garcio, he is in Tampa. And again, prayers to everybody. And I think God is watching over them, and I think everybody's going to be okay.
Thank you, sis. Carson.
Yeah, same thing. All you guys are saying, thoughts and prayers that go out to all the families in Florida and everybody that's in the area that might be affected by the hurricane. Thoughts and prayers to everybody. You guys will get through this. God watch over all of you.
And last but not least, Mr. Kenny Kirkpatrick.
Just like all you said, Paul, thank goodness you and your wife are up here in New York safe. Away from it. I have family and friends toughing it out down there. Don't know if that's the wisest decision, but of course they're going to be in my thoughts and prayers. They are in the Tampa area, and I got more family that live up further north in the Jacksonville area, so they're going to be getting a lot of rain as well. But we're here, we're here to lighten it up, do our best, during these times to talk to you in the world of sports, what's going on. So hopefully we can have a nice little fun show for you all and keep our minds off of it for a little bit.
Kenny, couple comments. Laura's also saying, giving the prayer emoji. My sister is in Cape Coral, and I still haven't heard from her. Keith, our great friend Keith Brugman, thoughts are with all of Florida and the surrounding areas. Thank you for that, Keith.
Thanks, Keith.
Thank you, Keith.
All right, Kurt. You guys want to start with some NFL talk? We had some good games last week. Some exciting games. Some of us very happy. Some of us, So that's the way I'll put it. But we're gonna do like a quick little recap. Kurt and I got some games to go over with you guys. We'll go go over it. We'll pick somebody. We'll give you a question. You give us an answer in about a minute or less, however you want to do it. And if there's a follow-up question from the audience or comments from the audience, Kurt will let us know, and we'll move on through these games pretty rapidly, fellas. So first game I want to bring up was a 1 o'clock game, and that featured an AFC matchup, arguably the game of the week, the Buffalo Bills and the Miami Dolphins. And I'm going to ask Sis this first question on the Buffalo Bills. Sis, after that game, Dolphins ended up winning the game. Do you still believe in your mind that the Bills are the favorites to win the AFC, or is it now someone else?
Yeah, you know me. No, one game doesn't make a season. And do I still strongly believe they're for real? Yeah. No excuses. They were missing a couple of players, and Miami played better that day, and hats off to them. That's really all I got to say about that.
Yeah, hats off to them is right. 4 starters out for the defense of the Bills, and they still found a way to take it down to the end. I'm going to switch gears. I'm going to go to the Dolphins. Ask Kurt a Dolphins question, because Kurt mentioned this last week that this was the Dolphins. Me and him off the air. This is the Dolphins Super Bowl. They need to win this game at home if they want to be considered a legit contender. Serious question now, Kurt. Are they a serious contender in the AFC now?
Well, a couple comments. Keith is saying, lighting it up for the Florida folks. How about them Dolphins? Jim Virtue saying any given Sunday. Yeah, I mean, listen, the word contender, are they a Super Bowl contender? No, I'm still not going to put them on the top, maybe 5 or 6 in the AFC, but are they a contender? Yeah, I mean, they got playmakers. So, you know what? Impressive win. I'll be honest, impressive win.
Fair enough. I'm going to move on to the next game I got on the list, fellas, and that features an NFC North matchup, and it featured Carson's Detroit Lions traveling to the Minnesota Vikings. Carson, I got a Lions question for you. Carson, Lions found a way to lose another game in the fourth quarter. In doing so, you lost DeAndre Swift and Amon St. Brown. Who, in your opinion, needs to step up in this Lions offense for you to have any success this year because of your 2 guys being out?
Yeah, I think it's going to come down to Jared Goff. There's still a big couple question marks. Can he lead this team? And there was a lot of controversy towards that last play where it was 4th and short, and we could have gone for the win if we got the first down, or we kicked the field goal. And Jared Goff after the game said, yeah, if I just stepped in and told the coach, let's go for it, we probably would have gotten it. We already got a couple 4th downs in that game. We had all the momentum. We outplayed the Vikings, and just same old Lions. They just cannot close the games when they need to. They were up 14-0. They were up 24-14, and they blew it once again. But we did outperform the Vikings. I saw some improvement on the team. But yeah, I think Goff has got to be the leader of this team now that Swift is out, and then now they're saying Amon-Ra could be out as well.
And real quick, in like 15 or less seconds, are you a believer in Jared Goff?
I think I am. Yeah, I think you're starting to see the LA version of him. Last year, you didn't really have much supporting cast for him, but I have seen some improvement. And I don't think Jared Goff is a bad quarterback. He's average, but you can win with average quarterbacks in the NFL.
Comment from Jim saying Williams killed it on my fantasy roster. So I guess he had
Jamal Williams.
Jamal,
yeah.
Yep.
That was a big pickup this week.
That was. I lost to Jenny Hoops, by the way, fellas. I gave Jenny Hoops. Jenny Hoops pulled it out with the CeeDee Lamb touchdown. That's what it came down to. Paul, I'm going to give you a quick rapid fire question off the top of my head on the Vikings. Do you consider the Vikings 2-1 a legit contender in the NFC North?
I picked them as one of the wild card teams and as a surprise team. So I'm going to still say yes. I think they will bounce back and continue playing. Hopefully, they won't see the Eagles anytime soon anymore. But yeah, I think they will do well in North.
Segued right into the Eagles, Kurt.
There you go.
So we're gonna go Eagles. We got to talk about the Eagles game, and it pains, I know, Sis, myself, and Paul to see them doing so well. But we're gonna give the floor to Ryan. Kurt, I know you got a question for him.
Yeah, I mean, just unbelievable when you talk about impressive, these Philadelphia Eagles, man. So, Ryan, my first question is, and I'll be honest, I've been very harsh on Jalen Hurts, especially watching in that playoff game last year versus Tampa Bay. But I got to say, impressive, man. Very impressive. So, my question for you, and I know it's early, but right now, would you consider him your quarterback of the future? And what I mean by that is a 5-year extension, $200 million, $40 million a year? Or do you have to wait, especially and see what he does, bigger games and or playoffs?
Well, I think you got to wait and see with the bigger games. And like I said, beginning this year, I said it's not going to be enough to just make the playoffs and lose in the first round. You got to start winning playoff games with this roster. That being said, I've seen from beginning of season to now, I couldn't have asked for anything more from Jalen Hurts to be continually trending in that direction. So while I'm not ready to give him the bag, as they call it, right this minute, everything that I would have needed to see from the offseason to now to be in that position, he's done.
Laura's throwing a little shade at you tonight, Ryan, saying Eagle fans can talk after they get 4 rings, which I doubt they will ever get. So Laura's coming after Ryan tonight.
Wait, what's her team?
I believe she's a Giant fan, right, sis?
Yeah, and how many of those rings was she alive for?
Ah, there you go. Keith is saying Jalen Hurts never stops working to get better. Sign him now, Keith is saying. And Laura's saying Giants, baby. So Keith's on board with him signing. I'm gonna go to Sis and Kenny on this. Kenny, I'm gonna go to you first. And when we're talking Eagles, Carson Wentz, right? Third team now. Eagles, Colts, now we're with Washington. Is this it for Carson Wentz as a starter? I mean, if it goes the way it goes the rest of this year, Kenny, is this going to be his last run as a starter in the NFL?
Absolutely. And I'll give you a 30-second or less response on this. And I watched the game with Sis. We live down here in Maryland, so we got that game. For some reason, the Ravens game wasn't broadcast, so I don't know what happened there. But anyway, get back to that game. Carson Wentz, not only no confidence, you could see it. Like you could just see him missing throws, not being accurate. And I'll mention the coach. They should have made the change at halftime and brought in Taylor Heineke, who was the starter last year and has experience playing. They never made the change. They were never in the game from the kickoff, and it was the worst game of the week to watch unless you were an Eagle fan like Ryan.
Sis, I'm going to ask you the same question. Carson Wentz, we've talked about him tons on this show. Is this it for him as a starter in the NFL?
Absolutely, no question about it. I think his skills have deteriorated from one team to the next, and he's he's on his last leg.
Okay, Kenny.
All right. Next game I'm going to talk about, fellas. I'm going to talk about the Chiefs and the Colts. A little upset, you could say, but a desperate Colts team needing a victory pulled it out against the Chiefs. And I'm going to ask Kurt this question. Kurt, do you think the Chiefs are in trouble? And what I mean by trouble, against the top 10 style defense, being there's no Tyreek Hill there, are teams catching up to this Chiefs offense that are good on defense? And I'm going to give you their schedule. They played the Cardinals week 1, Chargers week 2, Colts. Now they're at Tampa Bay. Are they in trouble in Tampa Bay?
Absolutely, they're in trouble. They're going to get beat. They're going to get beat pretty easily, I think, this week. And again, the Chiefs aren't the Chiefs. I know week 1, Mahomes and this, and listen, the Cardinals defense is bad, pathetic. Vance Joseph, Keith. I mean, that's a bad defense. And you know what? Again, the defense, and I know Sis is going to love this, on the road, right? The Colts, all of a sudden, the Colts are the Colts because they're home. That defense shut them down. They don't have that home run hitter. And I said from last year, the Chiefs have to change their approach. The teams are letting them run the ball, or they want to run the ball. Is Mahomes going to run around? They're in major trouble. They're going to get beat again this week in Tampa Bay.
Packers. Okay. Yep. So I agree with you, Kurt. I think they are going to get beat in Tampa Bay, and that's what I want to bring up the next game I got. And do you have a question on the Packers Bucks, Kurt, or or is it, or you don't? Because I do if you don't.
No, I don't.
Okay. I got a rapid fire question for you guys.
Okay.
I'll start with Carson and I'll go Ryan, Paul, Kurt, Sis. Season ends today. This isn't past history. This isn't, week one. Season ends today, Carson. Neutral field. Who are you taking? Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady as the guy who's gonna win the Super Bowl?
Tom Brady.
Ryan.
We're just talking quarterbacks.
Just quarterbacks. Is it going to be Brady or Rodgers if the season ended today?
Brady. Brady actually likes his receivers.
Jim is saying Brady, Kenny.
Paul.
Brady.
Kurt.
I'm going Rodgers. He's the best quarterback in football.
I'll answer because then I'm going to go to Sis because I'm on, so I can mute myself. I can't believe I'm saying this. If the season ended today, I'm going Aaron Rodgers. He doesn't have receivers, and he looked pretty damn good against that Buccaneers defense last week. So I'll take Rodgers.
Keith is saying got to go Tom until proven otherwise.
And Sis.
Well, I don't play this fantasy stuff if the season ended today, but anyway, I would go with Aaron Rodgers the way he looks right now.
Okay, so now let me get back to the Packer Bucks game, and I'll ask Carson a question on this game on the Packers.
Mm-hmm.
No receivers over there, bunch of rookie receivers. Do you think the Packers are still the kings of the North, or can the Vikings still overtake them, in your opinion, after what you're seeing after 3 weeks?
It's weird. Like, the Lions played pretty well against the Vikings. Like, I thought we were going to get blown out in that game with that offense and the Vikings, and they struggled until the very end. Packers, though, I still think they're the front runner. I mean, it's week 3. You got to give them time. You got to give Rodgers some time to get some connection with these new receivers. But I mean, Aaron Rodgers, he's the best quarterback in that division. I still think that they're going to take the throne in the NFC North this year.
And a quick question for Sis. From what you're seeing of the Buccaneers, Sis, are they going to be a Super Bowl front runner in the NFC, or are they taking a step back?
Again, it's 3 games into the season. It's really hard to answer that question, to be honest with you. So that's my answer.
Okay. Next game I want to get into, fellas.
Real quick, Kenny, Keith is saying Vikings take the division. It's early, and everyone has a bad loss or two.
Question for Keith. Is he not worried about Kirk Cousins in prime time? Because he seems to really play bad in prime time games, and they're going to have a couple more. So and that's my concern with that. I'd like Keith's answer to that. Let's move on to Kurt and Keith's Broncos Sunday night game. They ended up pulling it out in a wild 11-10 style game. And I got a question for Kurt on the Broncos. And Kurt, my question for you, I'm going in a different direction here. Do you have any concern towards Russell Wilson? 2-part question. That's your first question. Any concerns on towards Russell Wilson's slow start? And do you think the tight ends need to exist to be a successful offense going forward?
Part A, no, not at all. 1, it's Russell Wilson. 2, I talked about it last week, and I heard the other day on the radio, they were saying 3 years ago, Aaron Rodgers, when LaFleur took over, Aaron Rodgers in this offense had 26 touchdowns, 62% of his passes, and his rating was like a 90-something. Everyone, Rodgers is done. He can't do it in this offense, yada, yada. The next 2 years, back-to-back MVPs, putting up ridiculous numbers. It's going to come. I have no doubt about it. He's Russell Wilson. It's an adjustment. It's something he's never done. He's human, But absolutely not. You saw at the end of the game, Russ becomes Russ. Little runs here, little runs there. Make your plays. All 3 games on that last drive, we were down. He took us down the field. The first week, we missed a field goal. The last 2 weeks, we scored touchdowns to win the game. So, Russ, absolutely not. Tight ends, yes, it is a concern. Alberto has to step up more. Russ in Seattle always had a good tight end. That was a nice little outlet to him. So, I am a little concerned with our tight ends, especially Alberto. He's got to become more of the game plan.
Yeah, and especially the week one, you saw a lot of throws to the tight end, so I agree there. Do you have something on the 49ers for me?
Yeah, I'm going to come to you on this one, Kenny, and we've documented this a lot about Jimmy Garoppolo, right, on this show, the whole Trey Lance, Jimmy G, and you saw it again in a big spot. The people are going to say, well, look at his record. He gets to these championship games. He got to a Super Bowl, yada, yada, yada. But Jimmy G'd on Sunday night again. And my question is, and we know this isn't Shanahan's top choice because he wouldn't even be playing if it wasn't for Trey Lance's injury. So it's early, it's week 3. But Kenny, is there any chance Shanahan, John Lynch, the Niners organization look to go a different route than Jimmy G this year?
This year, no. I mean, I think that they would have traded him if they really thought. You can't tell me nobody in the league wanted Jimmy G. You hear stories every day that this team wanted Jimmy G, and it just didn't happen. There's a reason why they didn't trade Jimmy G in case this happened with Trey Lance. Of course, the serious injury sidelined them for the year, but maybe they were thinking if Trey Lance, doesn't perform, we'll go with Jimmy G. But they're with Jimmy G this year, and like it or not, they're stuck with him this year.
Okay.
Hands
Comment from Keith. Albert O is not the answer. Let's hope Dulcich hits the answer soon. And I know Sis was high on him, the tight end from UCLA that we drafted. So
let me ask Ryan a question on the 49ers.
Okay.
And then we'll get to the Cowboys Giants. Quick minute or less, Ryan. Kyle Shanahan. I think his record is 49-43. Is he a little overrated as a coach? I won't say a little. Do you consider him an overrated head coach?
I don't, because the majority of his career rather, he has had either Trey Lance or Jimmy Garoppolo for most of his games. I think that and he got them to a Super Bowl a couple of years ago. I think that offensively, they've done about as well as you can do. I think that his offense is very physically demanding, so obviously you see more injuries than you may in other offensive systems. But I think the results, or if you want to perceive it as a lack of results, I don't think that can necessarily come on under Kyle Shanahan. Even Bill Belichick is a under 500 quarterback without Tom Brady.
I got a question from Keith,
Coach.
and I'm going to go to Paul on this one. And even though I'm not a big fan of this quarterback, but this question, if this ever happened in that system, would be, wow. Paul, do the 49ers go sniffing around Lamar Jackson at some point after this season?
As much as I want to say possibly, I think they have to wait and see how the injury to Trey Lance develops. If somehow, God forbid, another Alex Smith situation developed, maybe you go after a Lamar Jackson. But I think they are hanging their hat on Trey Lance to develop into a big time quarterback. And obviously, we all hope that he winds up recovering and becoming the quarterback everyone expects him to be.
Got one more game, Kurt.
Let's go. Monday night, Cowboys.
And I know you're coming after us with some Giants questions.
Yeah, I'm coming at
There's 3 of us, so we'll do it quick.
I know. Well, I got
the
3.
game.
I'm going to ask you 3 a Giant question, and then I'm going to go Ryan and Carson with a Giant one.
You mean Cowboy one?
A Cowboy one. Real quick,
Okay.
comment from a Joseph Emerso saying, and what if Garoppolo wins it all? Which, listen, they're still the 49ers are damn good. So they're going to be there. Shanahan's going to have that team there. So that's where it gets interesting. What do they do? So we'll start this big game. Giants 2-0. Couldn't get to 3-0. Played a great game against Dallas. I'm going to start with Cowboy fan. I'm not Cowboy fans, but I'm going to start the Cowboy questions first. All right? Carson, are the Dallas Cowboys the best? I know I'm going to have something to say about this, but are the Dallas Cowboys the best defense in the NFL?
Oof. I would still say the Eagles are just a little bit better than the Cowboys are, but they're right up there. Micah Parsons, there's a reason why he won Rookie of the Year last year. That defensive front got to Daniel Jones. He was scrambling for his life on Monday night. I wouldn't say they're the best, but they're definitely for sure top 5, maybe top 2.
All right, 2 questions getting onto this. I'm going to go right back to Carson on this one. Is the Cowboys pass rush that good, or are the Giants O-line that bad?
I think they're that good because the previous week they got after Joe Burrow as well. So I don't think it was just a weird random 1-week fluke. They've been doing it to multiple teams this year, and I think they continue to do so as well. But their defense definitely bailed them out again this game.
Okay, Ryan, 2 questions for you. One I'm going to ask that Keith's asking because I don't want to get I know the Giant fans will answer it a certain way, so you're going to take it from a different perspective. Was the Giants' O-line issues Monday night just a little issue Monday night, or do you think this is going to be a season-long issue for the Giants, Ryan?
I said coming into the season, I didn't see what some people saw with the Giants' offensive line. I think Thomas is no longer, in the bust conversation. I think he's definitely come off of that. But I'm not sure where you're putting this line up with, the way Dallas was a couple of years ago, or with, teams like Philadelphia or other teams. I'm not seeing that level, especially with some of the pass rushes that you're going to face in the NFC, even with it being weaker on the quarterback side.
All right, and one more Dallas question. Zeke Elliott and Tony Pollard, Ryan, are they the best RB combo in the NFL?
No, and I'll say this: I'm not even sure Ezekiel Elliott's the best running back on his own team.
Okay. Now we get to the Giant questions. Now we get hear what happened on Monday night, and I'm going to start with Mr. Kirkpatrick. I thought Daniel Jones actually played pretty damn well. I know I've been rough on him, but pretty impressive. Especially his running. But the one thing that seemed was your lack of a quote-unquote playmaker. And I know you guys, Tony was out. Your second-round pick was out. But let me just ask you this. Now with the Shepard injury, Kenny, and I read this somewhere, and again, it's probably just a rumor. Any shot you look at OBJ and say, will you come home? And if not OBJ, is there anyone else out there that you think the Giants should call? Because you guys do need playmakers as wide receivers.
I'm going to say no on OBJ. And, I was a huge OBJ fan when he was here. And then he started with since the Green Bay, the boat incident, I had it with OBJ after that boat incident. 2 guys I'll give you. One is a veteran who maybe we can use a nice little veteran on the team. And I'm not saying he's going to light it up and have 1,000 yards, but a veteran in like a T.Y. Hilton, or a guy who got released by the Giants, and I'm hearing this name mentioned a lot, Alex Bachman.
Okay. I'll go to Sis. Monday night, your prized rookie and another defensive player, Ojulari and Thibodeau, returned. I know we spoke off a little bit, Sis, and you were like, I'm not impressed and stuff like that. Were you disappointed in both of them from Monday night?
I was, but I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt because they basically haven't played since July. And, we'll see what happens down the road. But yeah, they didn't play, they didn't play that well. And my concern is, I think you said it before, we really have no receivers, no big time receivers. And I think that's going to hurt down the road. So if they're going to go out and get one, or he's going to stay pat, that's to be seen.
You know what? My 2 cents on this, Kenny, real quick is we watch games in that division, right? Like we watched Dallas, and what was the difference? CD Lamb, right? You watch Philly, and it was like the same thing last year. They don't have playmakers, yada yada. Now there's AJ Brown, and it's a whole different ball game. Even Washington, you got McLaurin, you got Dotson, you got so. Like it's very hard to like tell a defense don't give anything up, but now you do give it up, and it's like besides Barkley, what do you have? Like it's hard. You got to get that one weapon. Paul, I'll go to you. This week, you're now playing another quarterback that I always listen to me. Thank God we didn't. If Matt Staffiero's listening, thank you, Lord. We did not listen to Matt and take Justin Fields, because I think in 2 weeks now I think he's thrown for 130 yards combined in the last 2 weeks. So just terrible, absolutely terrible. So my question for you is, watching that performance the past 2 weeks with Justin Fields, do you just think this game plan is, listen, he's not going to beat us through the air. They're going to run him. Herbert looks like the real deal, running for all those yards. Is defensive. Do you just think it's just you're not even going to respect him throwing the ball this week, Paul?
We're not that good a team that we can't respect anybody right now. Okay. But that being said, what I see the Giants doing, you're going to get Kayvon another game. You're going to get Aziz another game. They're going to get comfortable. Don't forget, Monday night, that was the first time that they were playing, like Sis said, since July, in a new defense. Okay. So they get more comfortable. I think they're going to put pressure on Fields. I think they're going to force them to maybe have him run out of the pocket. If they can keep him contained, I think they can control him. Let me just say this. Coach Coughlin used to look at the schedule in quarters. I don't think there are too many Giant fans that would say after our first quarter, if we're 3-1, that's a pretty good record. And that's the way I'm looking at this. Okay, they lost Monday night, a lot of issues, but if they can come back and win Sunday against a Bear team that is definitely beatable, control Fields, and we end the first quarter of the football schedule 3-1, hey, I'll take that any day.
All right. I was gonna go one more. Oh no, I think that's it, Mr. Kirkpatrick. We a couple comments. Jody Moncrief is saying Andrew Thomas has been trash at tackle. Jim is saying yes, Backman great in the preseason. Kenny. Jody's also saying 297 total yards this year for Justin Fields.
Kurt, can I just respond to that Jody comment? Pro Football Focus, after the second week, Andrew Thomas was the number one rated tackle in the NFL. So I respectfully disagree with Jody's comment.
All right. Jody's also saying Love is your best defensive player, Notre Dame, baby. Manny DeLima, there he is. Had to be happy on Monday night, saying
Cowboy fan, yep.
Saying let's go Bears for Sunday. Manny's coming after the Giant fans already. Sis, what do you think of this one, sis? Keith is saying my projected bust, Kayvon Thibodeau. Hope I'm wrong for you Giant fans. And Jim is saying Gano is doing great. He's a game changer.
Well, again, everybody, I get it. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. It's 3 games into the season, so I'm not going to get into these debates. It's like kindergarten stuff. Seriously, ridiculous. Grow up.
How does anybody know someone's going to be a bust? They're talking about
exactly.
Evan Neal. Yeah, we all saw he got his lunch eaten by DeMarcus Lawrence on Monday. The kid's going to be a great player in his 3rd game. Same thing happened with Thomas, and now he's considered one of the best tackles in football. I mean, people are funny.
Mr. Kirkpatrick.
Kurt, why don't we do this, Kurt? Why don't we get into the week 4? I got some top games, and why don't I do this way? We'll do it Like
Wait,
a
rapid fire. We got another question from Jody. Ready? Rapid fire, yes or no answer. I'm starting with Ryan. You have to answer it today. You can't say, I'm going to answer it 14 weeks from now. Right now, yes or no. Ryan, is Daniel Jones a bust?
I don't think Ryan heard you, Kurt.
Ryan,
I'll
did you hear me?
start. We're going right now.
Right.
3 weeks in, I'm going to say no.
No, just in general. As a player, not to this year. Is he a bust? Yes or no? Career, right now, yes or no?
Career, yes.
Ryan.
Your connection is really glitchy. Can you please repeat the question? I'm sorry.
Is Daniel Jones a bust right now? You have to answer it right now from his rookie year till today. Is Daniel Jones a bust? Yes or no?
No. What are they giving him?
Carson.
No.
Sis.
Absolutely not.
Paul.
Yeah, I agree. No.
Okay. Kenny.
What's your answer?
Yes.
I agree. All right, let's move on to the week upcoming, fellas. And let's do this in a style where I'll give you some, like, not necessarily rapid fire, but close to rapid fire answers so we can get through all these. I'll start with Carson, and I'm going to do Thursday night game with you, Carson. Bengals versus the Dolphins.
Oh, wait a minute, Kenny. Wait a minute. I got to come back at the people who said no. Because Jody's making a great point. And who said no? Ryan said no?
Me and you are the only ones that said yes.
Okay, so let's start this right now. If he's not a bust, I'll start it with Ryan. So if you're a Giant fan, so you want him for 5 more years? Yes or no?
If I'm a Giant fan, this is going to be hard. Do I want him for 5 more years? I guess it depends on how much faith I have in the organization to give him a little more help. Because I think that he has the ability to be worth a 5-year contract, depending on what the value of it is. But I think that it also is going to be dependent on what you've got. I mean, you see Justin Fields is not being maximized in Chicago. I'm concerned that he may end up in the same category.
Okay. Carson, you want him 5 more years if you were a Giant fan as your quarterback?
You got to play it out the rest of the year. I think Sis and Kenny and the rest of the Giants fans, you guys did not expect to start the year 2-1. So let's just calm down on Daniel Jones, give him the rest of the year, and then you can make the decision.
Sis,
good point.
Sis, 5 more years?
Nothing else to say. Carson nailed it.
And Paul.
Yes. Let's get back Tony, the rookie, maybe Galloway will come out of the doghouse. Give him a chance to throw the ball against some decent receivers. Maybe the line gels. Barkley's back. And then by the end of the year, if he's putting up some numbers and the Giants are winning, I'll give him the 5-year deal.
All right. Well, here's one more from Jody, and I got to go around one more time because it's a great question. Start with Ryan.
Rapid fire, Kurt? Are we doing this rapid fire?
Rapid fire, yes or no?
Right. Yes or no, guys?
This is it. You want to pay him what Dak's deal is? Yes or no? So that's $40 million a year. Ryan.
I wouldn't even want to pay Dak what Dak's deal is.
I'm with you. So your answer is no.
Good
Carson,
answer.
would you pay him $40 million a year?
Hell no.
Kenny.
No, I don't. I think he's a bust. No.
Sis.
No, absolutely not.
And Paul.
No, I'm not going to pay him that kind of money.
Okay.
All right, let's move on to this week's games and do this rapid fire style. I'm going to come out with some questions to Carson on the Bengals and Dolphins. Prime Video Thursday night. Carson, which quarterback you want in this game? Joe Burrow or Tua Tagovailoa?
Give me Joe Burrow at home. They're rocking those nice jerseys. They're all the white striped tiger jerseys. I think they're going to have a great game. Tua's been a big surprise. I mean, the Dolphins, I don't think anybody saw that they would be undefeated. Again, it's week 3 going into week 4. Bengals have kind of struggled, but I think Burrow's going to be Burrow. You're going to get that offense going with Chase and Boyd and Higgins and Mixon. I think they're going to be fine. I'm going to go with Burrow tomorrow.
Okay, and then the wide receivers in this game. You want Hill and Waddle, or you want Chase and the boys at Cincinnati?
That's a tough one. I think that's 50-50 because Waddle and Hill have been a big surprise. That might be a legit 1-2 punch this year for the Dolphins. I think would go with the offensive rookie in the year in Jamar Chase. I would go just because they have 3 legit weapons compared to the Dolphins too. So I would go with the Bengals, just slightly better. But the Dolphins are no joke with Hill and Waddle.
And last question, because we'll get your prediction tomorrow on Wits and Wagers. Who's the MVP of this game?
MVP? Oh. Joe Mixon.
Joe Mixon. Nice. Sis, I'm going to go to you for Bills and Ravens. I'm going to ask you same questions, Sis. Who has the better game, Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson? Giving you the tough game here.
I'm going to go with Allen because I'm on the Bills again this year. So I'm not going to go against the Bills after, again, 1 defeat, 3 games into the season. They're still the best team in football right now. I don't care what anybody says.
And I don't have to ask what the receivers look like. A little big mismatch
No.
there. So I'm going to go right to MVP of the game, Sis.
Say that again?
Who's going to be the MVP of this game?
Josh Allen.
Josh Allen. Nice. Let's go to Paul. I'm going to give you the Cowboys and the Commanders, Paul. Do you want Cooper Rush in this game or Carson Wentz?
I'm going to take Cooper Rush. I'm never taking Carson Wentz in any game.
Smart, good choice.
Running backs, wide receivers as a whole. Who do you want? The Cowboys or the Commanders offense?
I think Brian said, I don't think Ezekiel is even the best back on the Cowboys, but I'm going to go with the Cowboys 2 runners.
All right, my last one for you. MVP of this game.
I am going to say Micah Parsons is going to come up with a couple of big plays, couple of sacks, maybe a strip sack, and a fumble recovery for a touchdown.
Guys, look what Carson Wentz has to face after he got sacked 10 times against was it 9 or 10 against Ryan's Eagles. He's got to face.
Oh, I lost count. I think it was 9.
I think it was 9. It might have been even 10. I'm not sure, but he's got to face Micah Parsons and Lawrence looking him down the throat for 4 quarters. Good luck.
Kenny, couple comments from Jody. I think commenting to Sis about Buffalo being the best teams. He said, not with both safeties out, they aren't the best team in football. And Keith has one more question about Thibodeau for you, Sis. So let's get to it real quick. He's saying a question for Sis. What skills or talent do you see that impresses you about Kayvon Thibodeau? And also, who would you compare him to in the NFL, if anybody?
Good. That's a great question. He's got top end speed. He's a 4.5 kid. Excuse me. He can move laterally. He's a good pass rusher. Who I would compare him to right now in the NFL? That's a hard question. There's a lot of good ones, but I'm going to compare him to Parsons. Parsons is probably the best defensive player right now. 3 games, whatever it is, in the NFL. So that's how I'll compare him to.
Kurt, I'm going to you. You get the Broncos, so I know what your answers are going to be, but we'll play more realistic than anything. I know quarterback, you're going Russ over Derek Carr. Wide receivers as a whole, are you going Sutton and Judy, or are you going to take Devontae Adams and Darren Waller and Renfro? You're taking that core.
Real quick, Keith is saying good answer, Sis. You know, if you're gonna add Waller, then I'm gonna take the
I'm gonna add Waller to that. I'm gonna add Waller.
If you add Waller, I'm gonna say Waller, Renfro. I'm not sure if Renfro played last week. Did he play last week? I know he was hurt.
The other kid did good. Hollins, I think.
Yeah. And then Adams. I'm gonna take the Vegas one only because you're taking Waller, because that's a big mismatch.
Again, you
Waller
look at the
and
home field
Alberto.
advantage and the home field advantage too.
Yeah.
All right. And who's MVP of this game, Kurt?
I think this is the game where Denver's offense puts it together. So I'm gonna say Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson, nice. Ryan, I'm going to give you your Eagles, so I know where you're going to go on your picks. You going Trevor Lawrence or Jalen Hurts? Trevor Lawrence looking good. Kurt.
You know what I want? Here's what guys, real quick. For next week, okay? For next week, I was going to do it today, but for next week, I want everybody to come up with 10 quarterbacks because Kenny, he's not top 10, yada, yada, yada. I mean, I just did it. I only have 8 quarterbacks I would take over him, possibly 9. But next week, I want everybody to see if they can get 10 quarterbacks they would rather take than Trevor Lawrence. Go ahead, Kenny.
Okay.
Let's ask Ryan the same questions. Trevor Lawrence or Jalen Hurts?
I got to go with Jalen Hurts. Although I will give credit where it's due. Doug Peterson has done a heck of a job getting more out of Trevor Lawrence, as I believed he would.
Offensive playmakers on the Eagles, obviously over the Jaguars.
Yeah, I don't think there's any comparison there.
Right, and then your MVP of the game.
I'm going to go with left tackle Jordan Mailata because I think that Josh Allen has been the biggest disruptor on the defensive side for Jacksonville. And I think it's going to be up to Mailata to keep him in check so that Hurts can maximize both aspects of his game.
Kenny, I got a question from Jim for Paul, okay?
Yep.
What do you think of the comparisons being made between Parsons and Lawrence Taylor that people are going around, Paul?
Short and sweet. Don't compare anybody to Lawrence Taylor.
Great answer, Paul. I'm going to give everybody this one, and we're going to do it rapid fire style. It's the Sunday night game, Chiefs Bucks. I'll go the order I see it on my screen. Kurt, Paul, Carson, Sis, Ryan. Pat Mahomes or Tom Brady in this game, Kurt?
Well, I got to see what they have. I mean, they're going to have Mike Evans.
Let's assume Mike Evans is Mike. They're going to have Mike Evans. So,
you know what? I'll take Brady because I think Tampa's Bay's defense is way better than Kansas City's defense. So I'm going to take Brady. He'll have an easier way.
Okay, Paul.
Let me just say this. The extenuating circumstances down in Florida might have somewhat of an effect on the game on Sunday. Maybe it won't, maybe it will. But I think Brady getting Evans back, I will take Brady over Patrick.
Carson.
Yeah, I'm going to go Brady because Kurt made a great point. Better defense. So give me the Bucks.
Ryan.
I'm going to go Brady. Mahomes had a bit of a clunker the other day, which I think is getting undersold by the special teams debacle. So I'm not sold on him being able to go into Tampa Bay and just, right the ship.
And Sis.
Brady.
I'm with you, Sis. I'll go MVP, Kurt.
Real quick, let me just get a couple of comments before I lose the comments. Jim is saying amen to the comment about Paul made about LT and Parsons. And Paul, real quick, you're the Floridian. Is that how you say that word?
Yes.
Will they play in Minnesota? I know there's talk. Do you think that game is going to be moved?
It's possible. I know they were going down to Miami to use the training facilities this week during the week after they got him out of Tampa. That's why I'm saying the extenuating circumstances of this whole situation down here might force them to move. It wouldn't shock me if they did move it to a neutral site at this point. But I mean, I think they have to make a decision, no later than tomorrow, to ensure that.
All right, Kenny, MVP of that Tampa KC game?
Yeah, I'm going Brady as well, and then MVP.
I'm going to go Fournette because Kansas City has trouble stopping the run. I'm going to say if it is weather, if they are home, it's going to be a little, it might not be the best circumstances. All the Tampa Bay guys aren't going to be back, so I'm going to go Fournette.
Paul.
MVP?
Yeah.
They're going to win because of Brady, so I'll go with Tom.
Carson.
Yeah, Brady, same.
I'm going to go next, and then I'll go Ryan and Sis. I'm going to go Mike Evans. That guy got suspended because he protected his quarterback, all joking aside. So Brady's going to be looking for him nonstop in this game, especially with Godwin and Jones out. So give me Mike Evans as MVP. Ryan.
Can you please repeat the beginning of the question?
Oh, yeah. MVP of this game is just Chiefs Bucks. Who's going to be your MVP?
My MVP? Yeah, I gotta go with Brady on this one. I hate to go chalk, but I gotta go Brady on this one.
And Sis, round it off.
Fournette.
One more game, Kurt. I got Rams 49ers, and I'm going to give Carson this one. Do I have to ask Stafford or Jimmy G?
Matthew Stafford. Don't sleep on Jimmy G though. With that offense, I think Jimmy G. He's Jimmy G because he's on the 49ers in that scheme. If he was on any other team, I don't think he would have the success that he's had with the 49ers. But I would go Stafford.
Let me shift gears a little bit. Which defense do you want in this game?
Oh,
would you want the 49ers defense or would you want the Rams defense?
I'm going to go with the 49ers only because they played really great against the Broncos on Sunday Night Football. I think all around that 49ers defense is legit. Rams lost a couple key pieces on that defense. They're still great, but I would go with the 49ers a little bit more.
And MVP, Carson.
Let's throw a random one out. Let's go Deebo Samuel.
Nice. Kurt, we got Carson for about 5 more minutes. Anything else football, fellas?
I like this comment. Jody saying Denver shut him down hard. Keith is saying Jimmy G, this 49D is better than you think. And yeah, Jody, great comment. And Keith is saying he agrees with Deebo for the player of the game.
Nice.
Anything else football, fellas? Let's shift gears to baseball. Like I said, we got Carson for about 5 more minutes. I'm going to ask Carson. I'm going to give you guys some Aaron Judge type questions. And how I want to do this is I'm going to ask Carson this question, let him answer in a minute or less, and then everybody else, it'll be rapid fire for their answer. First question I got for Carson. Carson, Aaron Judge, contract year. He's asking for a lot. Name one team besides the Yankees you could see Aaron Judge on next year.
Oh, God.
You could say Detroit Tigers.
Nah, he's not coming to Detroit. I know we got a new manager. That'd be nice.
Well, I'd love to see him with the Metropolitans. The team that I would think he might sign for would be the team he grew up with rooting for in California, the San Francisco Giants.
Kurt.
Real quick, Jody is saying Dodgers. Jody's also asking Kenny, we can get to this in college football. He's saying, can we talk some Notre Dame for my RMSN boy? So we'll get to college football for that.
I'm writing it down right now so we don't forget, Jody.
Listen, the Mets, because Uncle Stevie with a ridiculously stupid deal that, 12 years, $60 million a year. Uncle Stevie has no limits of what he wants to spend. So I'm going to throw Mets.
My rapid fire answer is Kurt. I agree with you, Mets. I'll go Ryan and then Sis.
Completely agree with Paul. The two teams that scare me are the Mets and the Giants.
And Sis.
I say Mets, but I think the Yankees are going to give him whatever he wants.
Fair enough. Guys, we got to say goodbye to Carson.
Hey, we have a question for Carson from Keith.
Okay.
Can I ask us? And we'll go.
Yeah.
We'll get everybody. Everybody, we could do a rapid fire with this because he said before Carson leaves, he wants everyone's surprise winner in week 4 of the NFL. Go ahead.
Ooh. Let me look at the schedule here. I'm going to ride with the hot Jacksonville Jaguars. I mean, I didn't think anybody saw them upsetting the Chargers on the road. If they pull this off and beat Ryan's Eagles on the road, that team is legit. Give me Jacksonville in another upset, maybe.
All right, I'll go next. I was going to say Jacksonville, but I just don't think it's going to happen in Philly. Maybe in Jacksonville, but not in Philly. I'm going to go with the New York Jets. I think this is the end of Mitchell Trubisky. Get him in the clipboard, and we're going to see Mr. Slade's Kenny Pickett next time the Steelers play. Kenny.
It's tough. That's tough. I'm gonna go. I'm looking at the schedule. Get back to me. I got to look at this schedule.
Paul, you got one?
I have one. I don't know if you consider this an upset, but I am going to have the Colts beat the Titans. I think the Titans have that they're not as good as we think they were. So I'm going to say the Colts are going to beat them today. This
Ryan?
week.
Similar to what Paul said, I'm not sure if this would be considered an upset, but give me a second consecutive loss for Buffalo. The Baltimore Ravens beat the Bills.
Sis.
You might not want to hear this. This team is desperate. I'm going to take the Raiders.
Sis, I'm telling you. No, I said this to you in
They're
Seattle.
scary.
I said this to you in
Scary.
Seattle.
I
I'm
hope- I
worried,
hope-
sis. It's a desperate team at
I,
home.
I really hope, real quick, I hope I'm dead wrong because, again, you know me. You guys have two tremendous receivers, but I don't see how you, right now, you aren't getting them the ball.
Yeah, you're
I
right.
don't get it.
You're right.
I don't get it.
But this is a scary, scary game over
Yeah.
there.
Absolutely.
Desperate.
Yeah. Well, I hope you beat them. I'm just saying. They what do you call? Colts did it last week, so who knows?
Okay.
We'll see.
And Ken, you got one?
Yeah, I guess you could say, this team should be better than this team. I'm going to say Atlanta gets the win this week over Cleveland.
Okay.
But guys, we got to say goodbye to Carson. He has been with us till, great having him again with us. I know he's got other obligations. And Carson, can you let us final thoughts and let us know where you're going to be this evening?
Yeah,
And
great show,
where we can
guys.
find you.
Great show, guys. Looking forward to tomorrow for Wits and Wagers. Yeah, enjoy the rest of your guys' Wednesday night. If you guys want to catch me on my live streams, you can find me on Twitch and YouTube. Just search up Ticket Time. We do casino content over there as well.
Thanks, Carson.
Awesome. Thank you, Carson. You're
Thank
the
you,
man.
Carson. Have a great
Carson.
evening.
Sounds good. See you guys. Take
See you
care.
tomorrow, Carson.
Take care.
See ya.
Okay.
All right, we're going to continue with some Aaron Judge questions. I think I'm going to give this one. I'm saving Ryan and Sis's question for last because we're the Yankee fans. So I'm going in order. So I'll go to the Mets fan next. And again, Paul, you can answer this one in a minute or less. Everybody else will do rapid fire. After game 162, Paul, how many home runs will Judge have?
62.
I'm with you, 62.
Mm-hmm.
Kurt,
I'm going to go 61.
so he's going to be tied with Maris. You don't think he's going to break it?
Yeah.
And Sis,
Excuse me. Excuse me. I'm going to say 63.
and Ryan.
I'm with my Crimson Tide friend, 63.
Okay. Next one goes to Kurt. Will Judge get the triple crown, Kurt? Or do you feel like he's pressing? Good. About a minute or less. Give us a little intake on it.
You know what? I think he will. I think the walks are going to help him. I mean, people are going to pitch around them, so I don't see a lot of 0 for 3, 0 for 4 games. Again, I'm going to say he's going to get it.
Kurt, I'm going to interrupt for a second. Paul, you definitely want to hear this. I got an update from my cousin who lives in the Tampa area. 65 plus mile per hour winds. They lost power over an hour ago in the Tampa area.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Glad that they contacted you.
Yes. Paul, I'll ask you the same question in rapid fire answer.
Yeah, I think he definitely will. And as I said last week, one of the great offensive seasons of all time. Good for him.
And Ryan.
Yeah, and it was said before. I think that the walks are going to help his OBP, and I think that's going to, I think he's going to have, I think he's going to get it.
You nailed it, Ryan. The walks is what's helping him a lot, and he is getting base hits. And Sis.
Excuse me. Absolutely, he's going to get it.
All right, I got a couple of questions here. I'm thinking of who I want to ask this one to, because I know I talked to Sis about this one a little bit. I'm going to give Sis this one in about a minute or less. Sis, do you think it's a mistake batting Aaron Judge leadoff as opposed to where he was all year batting second or even dropping him to the third spot? Because I know, guys, I can't speak for Ryan, but us growing up, your best player was batting third. You know, that was your best player. But Sis, I'd like your take on it. And guys, I'm going to take a phone call because my cousin's calling me.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just mute yourself,
Yeah.
Kenny.
I absolutely, as a former coach or whatever, I understand why they're doing it because obviously he's going to get more at bats. I think the pressure, excuse me, I think the pressure of this whole thing, eyes on him every day, the media on him every day. He really, Boone asked him tonight if he wanted to take the night off. And you know what? It might have been a good thing for him if he did chill out tonight and take a night off and get away from it for a while. That's just my opinion.
Sis, let me ask you this. I want to just, because I agree with you with that. But do you think that if he does do that, and again, I agree with you, maybe take a night off. Do you think Boone would take heat because it's 4 less at bats for him to get the record?
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. Everybody in the media and everywhere else would be all over him, because they don't like him as it is. But, yeah, there's no doubt about that. That's a great question, too.
Ryan, I'm going to go to you with that same question. If Boone does do that, gives him a night off, do you think that, let me ask you this. Will Boone face criticism? And 2, do you think that he shouldn't sit him for this record?
Boone faces criticism for tying his shoes the wrong way, so I'm not quite sure that this would be any different. And in terms of should he sit him or shouldn't he, I think what he would be. I think like I said, I think that he handled it right by asking Judge. If he thought that he was pressing and if he was striking out 3 times a game, I could see, let's, give you a day here. But I don't think his rhythm is bad. And honestly, he may end up breaking rhythm if he sits right now. So I would leave that up to Judge, but I don't think he's mishandling it in any way.
Paul, what are your thoughts on that real quick?
Yeah, I think if Boone sits him, it's only after a conversation with Judge and they mutually agree to decide to sit for that for today or whatever day they decide. I don't think Boone would just write out and say, okay, I'm not putting him in the lineup. I think it would be a mutual agreement.
All right. So while Kenny, I don't know the other Judge questions Kenny has, so I'm just going to ask you my rapid fire one. I'm going to start with the Yankee question, and I'll start with Paul. I'm not going to. I'll go to Paul last because he's not the Yankee fan. I'll start with Sis. What team? So obviously Yankees are division champs. They get the bye, so they're not going to play the first round. They're going to roll to that second round. Who's the one team you do not want to play? So it's either going to be, right now it's going to be what? Either Tampa, Toronto, Seattle, and Cleveland, right? Am I right with that? It's going to be one of those 4?
Sure.
Okay, so Tampa, Toronto, Cleveland, Seattle. Out of those 4 teams, Sis, who's the one team you do not want to play?
Toronto.
Ryan.
I'm going to go with Seattle. Luis Castillo always seems to pitch us tough, and that everyone's going to be up in arms if he beats us in a playoff game.
Paul, if you were a Yankee fan.
Yeah. Just to make it a variety, I'll go with Toronto. I was going to go with Tampa Bay because of their pitching, but I'll go with Toronto.
Keith is saying Seattle. I'm going to take another team. I'm going to go a little different than you guys. I'm going to take Tampa Bay. And you know why? Seattle, I understand they got Castillo. Listen, Yankees should have got Castillo. We can go over that but I'm going to take a team, Tampa Bay. They're not fazed by the Yankees. They have, I don't want to say the word respect, but zero fear of them. They've beaten them already in postseason. I would not want to play Tampa Bay. Especially I got to go down there. I just would want no part of playing Tampa Bay. Keith is saying Seattle is going to be so hungry. All right, let me ask my Met question. I'll start with Paul first on this one. All right, obviously, big 3-game series, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But the Mets have DeGrom, game 2, Scherzer, game 3. That's the way it's scheduled right now. We don't know with the weather and everything like that. My question to you, Paul, are those 2 games, Scherzer, game 2, DeGrom, game 3, are those must wins for the Mets?
Oh, without a doubt. Absolutely. If they can win 2 out of those 3 games at least, then I think they'll have the division.
But I'm saying as a Met fan, if you're looking at it, you got, like, I don't care if it was game 1, game 3. When it's Scherzer and DeGrom, we got to win those 2 games versus Atlanta.
Yes, without a doubt. Absolutely.
Ryan, what's your thoughts? I know you're a Yankee fan, but looking from it, do the Mets have to win the DeGrom and the Scherzer game?
Absolutely. I mean, that's why that's why you got Scherzer, and that's why you've given DeGrom the commitment that you have. I think that anybody in the position where you're putting 2 of the best pitchers in baseball right back to back with one another, I think that there's no excuse not to win both those games.
Sis, what's your thoughts? Mets must win DeGrom, must win Scherzer?
Yeah, again, you want to pay these guys big money. You want to make big money, just like Dak. You want to make $40 million a year. Well, guess what? You got to show your wares, man. You got to show your wares.
I'm with you, and I mean, I know some people aren't going to like it, but I'm sorry, it's the same thing. Listen, what Aaron Judge has done for 162. Hey, congrats. I tip your hat. But you want 10 years and $50 million, you better not go 3 for 22 with 14 strikes. You better not do it. And because you're not getting the money if that happens. Jen, I agree with you. I agree with you, sis. This is what you got DeGrom. This is what you got Scherzer for. I don't even care what happens in the game. Win those 2 games. Win those 2 games. And because if you don't, you're not winning a World Series. If Aaron Judge is 3 for 22, you're not winning a World Series. So, all this is where you make your money now, not the 162. That's where Beelan says, oh, well, somebody threw 48 touchdowns. Then they get bounced year in a playoff game. That's Kirk Cousins, right? Kirk Cousins has, 4,200 yards, but he's 3 and 42 when it matters. I'm not giving him the money. I'm sorry. I'm not doing it. So, DeGrom's on the clock, Scherzer's on the clock, and Judge is on that clock when that first postseason goes. Because I'm sorry, this is where it matters. Both of these teams, the Yankees and the Mets, are World Series or bust. They are. I mean, I'm sorry, they are. You're not paying to win a division or a wild card and get into a playoffs and get bounced by a team that's $70 million payroll. It's just it can't happen. It can't happen. So I'll go to another question. Last one. If the Yankees do not get to this World Series and or win the World Series, Kenny, are you firing Aaron Boone?
Yes.
Don
Mattingly.
I can't hear you.
Yes, Don Mattingly.
Ryan, are you firing Aaron Boone if you don't get to a World Series this year?
No, the players have to go out and do their jobs. Unless it was an egregious managerial decision like the 2017 faux pas by Girardi against the then named Indians, unless it's something like that, no, I'm not firing Aaron Boone. And, Aaron Boone is not out there playing every position on the field.
Sis, what about you?
Me, I would have fired him a long time ago, but that's just me. But Cashman won't, because he's Cashman's puppet. That's pretty much it.
And Paul, what about you as a Met fan?
I'm not firing him. I think through all's been said and done, I think he's done an admirable job, and I agree with the Yankee fans. I think he's there to at least manage next year. Let's put it that way.
He stands on a top step and eats seeds and chews bubble gum. Where's the management coming in?
I don't care if he eats paper if we're winning a World Series.
But that's the key word. Winning a World Series.
But what is he managing is my question to all of you. What is he managing?
I mean,
What
they're
does he
not going to
do?
put on social media every move that he makes behind the scenes.
No, but again, what does he do every night? He stays on that step, he chews seeds and he chews gum. I never see him doing anything but that every game I watch them. But
Well,
How much different is that from what Girardi was doing the last 7 years? He didn't win no title the last 7 years. He was in New York.
You're
either.
right. You're right. That's a great point.
that's a good point.
That's a
That's
real
really
good
good.
point.
Can
I was
can
either gonna
say something?
go ahead.
I'm sorry, Paul. No, I was outside with my cousin. Everything looks like the heaviest stuff is going to hit around 2 a.m. in Tampa area. But I'm with Kurt. I'm with Sis. This guy has done nothing, in my opinion, that shows he's a great manager. My question that I missed was, is it a mistake batting Judge? So I don't know what everybody said there. Is it a mistake for him? What was the majority rules?
I'm
there,
sorry,
Kurt?
Kenny. I'm going to be honest with you. I forgot that question, so I asked my other question.
I appreciate you. Yeah, I appreciate you jumping. So why don't I ask my questions and then we can get back
Yeah.
to Boone, because I want to do some college football too.
Yeah, definitely.
I got two more. I got two questions left, and this one was for Sis. I don't know if he answered it. Do you think it's a mistake, Sis, batting Judge leadoff as opposed to batting second or third?
Well, I said it when you stepped away to talk to your cousin. Is everything okay down there?
Yeah, they're toughening it out. They're going to be going to bed soon. 65-mile-per-hour winds. It looks like the heaviest stuff's still coming.
Thank God. I said before you walked away, I understand being a former baseball coach in high school, whatever. He's going to get more bats there. Okay, obviously. But to take the pressure off him a little bit, maybe you should drop him to 2 or 3. That's just my opinion.
Kurt.
You know, I'm going to be honest. Listen. I think the game has changed a little bit with that. I mean, listen. I coached softball a lot in high school, and Sis can attest to this. Like, you put your best player, I don't care who it was, a power, they batted first. Just get her the extra at bat. So I'm not really sold on. Does he have to bat first? Does he bat? I mean, it is what it is. I mean, just make sure that he's got people behind him, because that's really what the important thing is. If someone's going to walk him in a postseason, make sure that guy behind him is going to be able to, take the hit. But again, I'll say this and whatever. I don't. The 162 is nice, but this is where it matters, and he hasn't delivered in the postseason. So, no 10 for 600. With 3 for 24 in the playoffs. I'm sorry. It's not happening for me. Show now. I want to see MVP Aaron Judge now in the postseason.
My quick response, and I'll go to Paul and Ryan after my quick response, is you said have somebody bat after Judge, right? Well, with Judge leading off, he's batting behind Kyle Higashioka. He's batting behind Kiner Falefa. If he's batting ninth, he's not batting behind anybody protecting Aaron Judge. And when Aaron Judge leads off a game, I'm the Blue Jays manager. Walk him. I ain't letting this guy beat us, because I need to get into the playoffs. So you want Aaron Judge to get to 61, he needs to bat second or third, in my opinion.
By the way, we're joined by Matt Staffiero. What's going on, Matt? How are you?
What's up, Matt?
Hey, Matt.
Keith saying Judge should be batting third or fourth. Best hitter always wasn't your home run hitter. First hitter can play the entire field.
Yes. And Paul and Ryan, I'll give your take on this real quick. And then I got one more question that I'll give to Ryan and the rest of us rapid fire style.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I'm old school, but I always thought your best power hitter is going to bat third or fourth. But that being said, as Kurt just said, you need someone behind him, whether he's hitting first, second, third, to hit and have teams be wary of walking him, because whether it's Rizzo or whoever they decide to bat behind him. So that's the key.
And Ryan, and then I'll come back with your question.
No, Paul said it great. It doesn't matter if you bat Judge first, second, third. You got to put a guy behind him who's going to make teams think, shucks, we got Judge here, but I don't want to face the next guy either.
My question to you, Ryan, it's a simple one. Would you rather see Judge play center field or right field?
You asked me that 2 months ago. I would have said center field. Now we got Harrison Bader, who I'm a big fan of, so put him back in right.
Well, let me ask you this. Why did we see Harrison Bader play in left field
Please say that again.
Didn't we see Harrison Bader play in left field
Yeah,
a few days ago?
he just came off that injury, so my guess is that they didn't want to rush him back into center field every single night. My guess is to like kind of build him up so that he'd be ready for the playoffs, which I completely agree with. But I've seen too much from Bader as a center fielder. He's my center fielder going forward into next year, and Aaron Hicks can go play in Kansas City or something.
Wasn't Bader a Gold Glove Award winner
Yes.
with?
He was a Gold Glove Award winner, and statistically, he's been the best defensive center fielder in the MLB the last 3 years.
Real quick, I want to go this to Ryan. This is from Matt. He's saying, "Hey guys, please tell me you've heard the Monfords have put the Rockies on the market. No heart. Hashtag sell the team." What's your thoughts on that, Ryan?
I mean, I haven't heard that, but if true, then congrats. The Rockies ownership finally did something right.
So let me ask you something. Is that a market where, somebody can, you get a big owner, you get somebody with, can they win in Colorado?
You're asking me directly?
Yeah. I'm asking you. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, you can win in Colorado. I think it's been proven that it's a nightmare to develop a lot of pitching there. But at the same time, I think you had a cluster of these different, where you had an ownership that didn't, and a front office that didn't prove to, have a track record of developing any sort of success. You had questions on the player development side, and then you've got those natural factors coming into it as well. What you got to do, and I think that what you can define this regime on specifically as one move is trading some of their best players, but not trading Trevor Story and letting him go for nothing to Boston. That'll never make sense to me, and I think that that's a perfect example of what the Rockies' leadership has been recently. They can win in Colorado if they get the right leadership in there. You can win in backwoods Oklahoma if you got the right leadership in there. The Rockies just haven't.
Great point. And Matt's saying, can they just do it already? It would be what's best for Colorado. Kenny, go ahead.
All right, quick rapid fire, guys, so we can get into some college football. Kurt, center field, right field.
I'm with Ryan. I'm playing Bader there. I'm gonna put him in right field. I mean, that's your best defense. I'm gonna put those two
right
guys
field
together.
all the way. I am not risking getting Judge hurt before the playoffs, letting him run balls down in center field. No, thank you. Paul.
Right field, definitely.
And Sis.
Yeah, that's a clean sweep.
Kurt, did you get to your Mets questions while I was outside?
I did. Yes, I did.
Okay, great. Anything else baseball, fellas?
I think we're good.
Little college football to round off the show. Let's see where I got it. Where do I have it? Got it here somewhere. Sorry, fellas. All right, little college football recap. Let's go to Kurt. Give me your surprise of the week. It could be a game. It could be anything. Kurt, what was your surprise moment of the week?
You know what? I talked to Sis. I want to say it was Sunday morning. It was either Sunday morning or Monday. We spoke, and he nailed it on the head. Because and luckily Carson's gone when we talk about this, but Minnesota, man. Years ago you were looking. We all were like, Minnesota's not going to go on the road and beat Michigan State on the road. But you know what? They didn't win. Like Sis said, they dominated that team. Minnesota's for real, man. They're going to a Big Ten. They're in the opposite side, I think, of Ohio State, right? They're going to that Big Ten championship game.
They are. We'll have to get Carson's thoughts on Minnesota tomorrow on wages.
Real quick, Kenny, Matt's saying hashtag Rock Chalk Jayhawk 4-0. Leave Lance and Lawrence.
Hey, you laughed.
I know. 4-0. I know.
And that's a great surprise there,
yep.
Matt. That's a good one.
Yep.
I didn't even think about them. I'll go to Paul next. I know you didn't watch much college football, Paul. Do you have any surprises?
Yeah, I really didn't get a chance to with the travel and everything, so I'm going to pass this week.
Fair enough. Sis, you got a surprise moment of the week?
Excuse me. I'm going to disagree with Kurt. That didn't surprise me because I've been following them for the last year and a half. And not only do I think they're going to win, I think they're going to be in the top 4 at the end of the year. I really do. That team is nasty, man. That team is really, really nasty.
Kenny, listen to this stat about Kansas. Matt saying one more win and they tie their win total over the last 3 seasons combined.
Wow.
I think
is that?
It was a crazy over-under number. I think it was like for them to win 3 games this year, and they're already eclipse that.
It's nuts.
Here's my question
To finish up real quick, my surprise upset was Texas getting beat.
That's a good one, sis. Question for Matt, if he wants to answer. Their coach, is he going to be staying in Kansas, or does a bigger school, look to scoop him up with him having success at Kansas football schools? He's got to be a hot name, you would think, right, going forward. Ryan, who about your surprise of the week?
So I was gonna say Texas Tech over Texas, but since it's already been said, I didn't even know Middle Tennessee was a thing.
Oh, don't even start with that.
And they came up over Miami. That again, I think I said it all. I didn't even know Middle Tennessee existed.
I got them listed for my disappointment, which is next. But my surprise would have been was Tennessee, how they did, all the talk, getting 10.5, and they covered that spread for those people that are out there betting wits and wagers. I was wrong on them. I'm starting to believe this team is a little better than I thought. So I'm going to go with them as a surprise. And I'll go disappointment real quick. I mean, I got the book right here, Middle Tennessee State. You're Miami Hurricanes, and I'll do this in 30 seconds, guys, I promise. You're the Miami Hurricanes. You signed Mario Cristobal. He's a great recruiter. He's coming. He's doing this. He's doing that. And you go and play Texas A&M, and you play your hearts out. You play pretty good. You lose, okay, bounce back against Middle Tennessee State, and you do not show up. This guy needs to maybe be on the hot seat after 3 weeks. And that's my take on the Miami Hurricanes, because I'm a very disappointed fan. And it's amazing how from 1 week I was riding high, and now I'm bottom of the barrel now.
Real quick comment, Matt, Kenny, I know you asked a question about the Kansas coach. He said Nebraska's going to try Wisconsin if they move on from Christ. Lance has ties to Wisconsin from his days at Wisconsin Whitewater. And Keith is saying Middle Tennessee says thanks for the $1.5 million.
105, the rank 105 at the beginning of the year. 105, and you can't beat them. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Kurt, your disappointment.
Oh, my disappointment was 8 o'clock on Oklahoma. I don't care. They could start beating teams 82-0. They're eliminated from the college football playoff. I watched them lose to Kansas State. Kansas State 2 weeks ago lost to Tulane at home. Tulane. Now they go on and they look like world beaters. Same old Oklahoma. Just at least we don't have to see them in the college football playoff. They're eliminated. Disgrace. At home, they can't stop Kansas State. Come on.
Sis, who disappointed you this week?
Texas.
Yeah, that's good. Right, double down on them. That's right. And Ryan.
My disappointment was, I was going to say Oklahoma losing to K-State at home.
Oh, we got another Kenny, real quick, we got a comment saying, Keith is saying, and this is, luckily we haven't heard from, oh my God, Henry tonight. Can Colorado and Colorado State fall any lower? I mean, that's bad. That's a bad combo.
I'll give you another bad one real quick before I get into my last question for you guys. About Herm Edwards in Arizona State, what they did over there. I'm hearing these rumors that they were giving up the plays to the other team.
Yeah. That's horrifying.
Are you serious? Like, why would I want to go play as a recruit at a team like Arizona State, who's just going to give away their plays to the other team and just give up games? Arizona State, I think you're going to laugh at me. I think everybody in that Pac-12 is in better shape than Arizona State. That includes Colorado.
Matt is saying Colorado is the biggest disappointment of the season for me. Garbage. Yeah, they're bad, man. They're bad.
It's amazing how bad some of these teams are. Anything else college football? I got one more question for you guys.
Well, we got our top four, Mr.
That's what I was going to do. Yeah, our top four. All right, Kurt, you're up. Let's get your top four, and then we're going to do this, guys. Your top four in the playoffs right now. Who do you have in the playoffs? And who's on the outside looking in, a 5th and a 16th?
All right, I'm going to be chalky right now because I just think they're the best teams in the country. I'm going to go Georgia 1, Sis and Ryan's Alabama 2, 3 Ohio State, 4 with a big win last week, and I'm pumped to watch them on Sunday night, Clemson, Saturday night, Clemson. Then outside, I got Michigan and I got USC. And then right after that, I'm going to put the two, the rest I'm going to throw to all the SEC teams in there, Tennessee, Kentucky. But I'll go Georgia, Bama, Ohio State, Clemson, and my 2 on the outside, Michigan, USC.
Paul, we'll go to you next.
It's Kurt took the words right out of my mouth at this point. I mean, I've liked USC. It wouldn't shock me if they get into the playoffs. But yeah, right now, those are the 6 that I would choose also.
Paul, Sis.
Kurt, you're going to love this one. $310 million. Had a 3-0 lead. Guess what's going on now? First and second, 1 out, 3-2. This is why they're not going anymore.
Who? Oh, Yankee. Oh, Cole.
Yeah, again, you're giving him this kind of money. Can't hold a 3-0 lead. You just balked.
Well, you know what? He's another guy we talk about. We talked about Scherzer, DeGrom, Judge, and Mr. Cole is on the clock tonight. No more, again. And I'll say this with Cole. I knew nothing about Houston. We were banging trash cans. He didn't do anything, right? They took the sticky, whatever it's called, away, and he Game one, he better not flounder at Yankee Stadium in that playoff game. It better be win, win, win. You're paying that money. You, Scherzer, and DeGrom better win every playoff game.
Penny, my 4 are Georgia, Bama, Ohio State, and Minnesota.
Whew, there it is.
Wow.
I like it, Sis.
Nice.
And who's your 5th and 6th on the outside looking in?
My 5th and 6th. Tough. Come back to me on that.
Real quick, Kenny, couple comments. Matt saying Bama 1, Georgia 2, Ohio State 3, Michigan 4. And here's where he's going to say, and Ryan and Sis are going to love it. And I like it. And Kenny's not going to like this, but it's going to be reality, Kenny. It's going to be Georgia versus Bama 2.0 in a college football championship game.
You know what, Kurt? You talked to me last year. I agree with you. I disagree with you. I'm all in on that game. I'm watching the best teams play, and you're going to see in my 4. I disagree with you big time, and I haven't disagreed with you in a while, so I don't know what's going on. Something must be in the air.
Okay.
But I'm disagreeing with you on Clemson. You and Paul, I'm disagreeing with you on Clemson.
Okay.
I sat here and watched that game against Wake Forest, and Clemson's supposed to have this great defense, and they couldn't stop Wake Forest.
But wait a minute.
Number
on
one.
the road, listen, that's not an easy game.
Hartman's a good quarterback.
Yeah. That's an easy game.
DJ Ugle, whatever you want to say his name, stinks. That's my take on Clemson.
They got a big game this week.
And that being said, like everybody else, Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, I'm going to throw Michigan in there. Do I like them? No, I think they'll be out next week. I think Iowa gets them this week. So next week, they'll be out of my top 4. And then here's where I'm going to surprise Kurt, and he may fall off his chair. 2 more SEC teams, Kurt. Kentucky, number 5. Tennessee, number 6. Kentucky's got a big game against Ole Miss, and Tennessee has Missouri. So we'll see. No, sorry, Tennessee has LSU. So both have big games this week. And both can move up those standings if they can pull off those wins.
Yep. Keith saying Wake Forest looked impressive. Doesn't bode well for Clemson. I agree, Kenny.
And then real quick, I'll throw one last question out to you guys.
Oh wait, we gotta get Ryan's. We gotta get Ryan's,
and then I'm going to throw one last football question out for you guys, rapid fire. Ryan,
right.
Let's get yours.
My top 4, as much as I hate to put it this way, I've got Georgia number 1. I got the Tide number 2. I got Ohio State number 3, and I got the Wolverines number 4.
Who's on the outside looking in? Waiting for one of these teams to drop.
Number 5, I got Ole Miss. Number 6, I got Oklahoma.
Okay, so even with the loss, you're still a fan with the loss, Ryan?
It's close for me, but I think that they're going to be at least in the conversation.
Okay.
I'm surprised none of us threw USC in there.
I
To be
have them as
honest with
number 6, Kenny.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Okay,
And I
even
think
top
Paul
four.
had them too.
yeah,
My
yeah.
question, rapid fire, and then we'll get closing thoughts after this.
Okay.
Georgia, Bama, top 2. Okay, you got Kentucky in the top 10. You got Tennessee in the top 10. You got Ole Miss looking in, and you got A&M, Arkansas with 1 loss. Is this the year we could see 3 SEC teams? I'm not going to say 4. I think you, if 4 are deserving to go, you make all 4 go. But could this be the year you see 3 SEC teams in the playoff?
Who's going first?
I'll go you first.
The only reason I'm
And
gonna
and if yes, who's that third team?
okay, the only reason I'm gonna say no is because I think Georgia and Alabama are both gonna go in. They're both gonna be there. So now I'm gonna go and say, okay, if Ohio State and Michigan are both undefeated or that 1 loss, right, the Big Ten champ's gonna probably go, right? And now you're gonna go and say, okay, is that loser in there? Is Clemson? Because if I know you don't like it, but if Clemson's undefeated, they're going. Right, so
Yeah.
it's just it's gonna be so hard to jump those teams, like Georgia, Bama, they're in. I'm just gonna say Ohio State beats Michigan, they're in, and Clemson's undefeated. I mean, we still haven't even talked about USC if they're undefeated. You're gonna have maybe a 1-loss Michigan. I think it's gonna be too hard this year because I think those teams are gonna stay up there all year long.
Let's go to Paul.
Yeah, I think it's possible, but I think they're going to wind up with either USC if they make it or Michigan, one of those teams if Clemson doesn't make it. And the toughest game USC will have left is Utah. If they beat Utah, then they may go undefeated because they're going to beat a bad Notre Dame team. So that's not going to be a difficult game for them. So I can see USC going undefeated, and if they would have a very good, say in if whoever loses the championship game in the Big Ten to beat them out.
Sis, 3 teams can get in the SEC playoff this year.
Not so fast, my friend. People are talking about Michigan, okay? Keep this in mind because we watched some of it. Maryland gave them a game.
Yeah, they did.
I am not
Yeah.
against you, Mark Calderio. To me, that team, again, when they beat Ohio State, then we'll talk about it. Now, what was your question? I'm sorry.
Could 3 teams make the playoff in the SEC this year? Can we see 3 teams in the
Could
playoff?
or will they? What's the question?
Could we see, in your opinion, could meaning there's a good chance?
No, I don't. I think it's like Kurt said. And not because I'm a Bama guy, but it's Georgia and Bama. Now, Bama's got a big game this week. It's not going to be no cakewalk for them. People are going to be looking for them to beat Arkansas by 30. That's not happening. This is going to be a backyard woodshed fist fight, not score, fist fight. But I think at the end of the year, when all the smoke clears, it's going to be Georgia and Alabama, and that's going to be a real unbelievable game.
And Ryan.
Yeah, no, I can't see it. I think it's going to be Bama, Georgia, and then 2 other teams that are not SEC. It's not something I can foresee happening with the way that the teams look this year.
Well, I'm going to answer real quick, Kurt.
Okay.
I could see it happening, but I'm going to say no. But I'm going to make a bold prediction. Georgia's going to get beat by somebody this year. And I think it's going to force them down to 5 or 6. Now, that being said, I don't know if Kentucky, Tennessee, or Ole Miss can stay undefeated because their schedule gets really tough too. But these 3 teams, and Arkansas with 1 loss, A&M with 1 loss, these teams are sitting right there in the second tier. And the second tier is not that far behind the top tier of Georgia and Alabama. I think those are your second tier teams. Can one of those teams reach that top tier would be my question.
But now, Kenny, real quick, you see, and again, I'm not, listen, you guys know, I don't even know if Ryan knows, I'm a big Auburn fan. So I'm not an Alabama fan by any strength, by any part of the imagination. But I'm going to give them credit. And here's what we argued with last year, Kenny, okay? Alabama already beat Texas in a non-conference schedule game. I don't care if it was 2019, they won at Texas. But this is where we get into this whole college football playoff thing. We watch the games. We know Alabama is one of the best 4 teams in the country, right? You see it, you watch it. You would put your money on it or your life on it. Hey, I'm going to take Alabama. But they still got to go to Arkansas, right? And like Sis said, that's not going to be an easy game. So say you win. Now you got to go and you got to come home and play A&M. Now you're going to Tennessee, okay? Mississippi State at home, still a good team. Now it's LSU's. Listen, LSU is still LSU. They got a lot better athletes than a lot of teams in the ACC or the Pac-12. You got to go there at night, okay? Then you got to go to Ole Miss. Now I got to end it with a rivalry game in Auburn. I mean, we're just like, this team has to go undefeated. Look at the schedule they're playing. That's why the SEC is the SEC. Like, oh, if they get beat at Tennessee, they're out. They got to beat Georgia. Why? Nobody plays a schedule like that. Look at that schedule. I'm sorry. If Alabama has 2 losses this year, just say they lose at Ole Miss and Georgia, I'm still putting them in over USC, who plays nobody. You watched Georgia play Oregon. How did that go? It was a disgrace.
Could I do something that'll take a minute, and I promise that'll be it?
Yes.
I'm going to give you these 3. These are the 3 undefeated teams besides Georgia and Alabama.
But you didn't answer my question about Alabama. Look at that schedule.
Look at that schedule. I'm going to give you one that's even worse, okay? Tennessee. Okay, this is why. If they can win, they're in there, and they're going to gain my respect. At LSU this week, that's not an easy game. Alabama at home right after that. They get a cakewalk game in between. Then they got Kentucky, and then at Georgia. If they come out of that with only 1 loss, you still got to consider them a top 5 team. If they come out of Georgia, Alabama, LSU, Kentucky in a 4-game stretch and go 3-1 in that stretch.
But I will say this, and Sis and Ryan disagree with me or not. But in that, like, if you're Tennessee, you have to win the East. You can't have Georgia in the SEC championship game in your home. That's what you can't do.
Well, here's the one, Kurt, that I think can get there. If you want to throw an outsider in, Kentucky, they got to beat Ole Miss this week at Ole Miss, and that's not going to be easy. That they're an underdog, and there's a reason why they're an underdog. But let's say they get by them. South Carolina, Mississippi State at home. Tennessee on the road, not going to be easy, but it's a rival game. Missouri, Vanderbilt, they get Georgia at the end of the year at home and round out the season against Louisville. That's your sleeper team that can get in there, in my opinion, as opposed to Tennessee, who's got to face Georgia, Bama, Kentucky, and LSU. And then Ole Miss has Kentucky at home, Auburn at home, at LSU, at A&M, Alabama at home, at Arkansas, and Mississippi State. So we're going to see. It's going to be a hell of a year, and I hope that the deserving teams get in this year, and we'll get into it more throughout the year. But we're going a little over, Kurt, so I think we're ready for final thoughts.
Okay. You know what? Let's start. We'll go the same way. Let's start with Paul.
Great show, guys. Thanks so much for having all your prayers and thoughts with Florida and obviously some of the Caribbean islands also. And we wish the best for everyone the next few days.
I'm with you, Paul. I'll go next. Prayers and thoughts with everyone in the Florida region, everywhere else around it. And listen, we got a lot of sports coming on, man. You know, NFL, college is heating up. We got NBA basketball starting in camp. Kenny will talk a little Knicks. We don't talk any Brooklyn Nets, Ryan, on this show, so don't bring those words up.
Wow.
That's the poison word. Let's go Knicks. And baseball playoffs, so I'm fired up. And you know what? My Broncos are 2-1, baby. 3-1, get through Vegas and first place. Let's go. Sis, final thoughts.
Yeah, I think this, unfortunately, this hurricane puts everything in perspective as far as life goes, as far as Aaron Judge hitting 62. You got people with their lives on the line, and God willing that everybody comes out of this healthy and safe, especially my cousin Michelle. I love it.
Did
That's
Judge
it.
just homer?
Yeah, he just hit 61.
Judge just
Oh,
homers.
wow.
Oh, we're behind over here.
Well, we ruined it for you.
Sorry.
Did he really hit it?
Yeah, he just hit 61. I'm looking at it right
Good.
now.
Wow.
Very good.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Now we're gonna see it.
So,
Okay, I'm done.
all right.
Thank
Let's go, Ryan. Final thoughts.
Same thing, just for my friends and family, everyone else's friends and family who are down in Florida and in the path of this hurricane right now. Just I'm praying for all of them. Paul, I hope that everything's okay back where you live. So that's for that side of it. Because like I said a couple weeks ago, those are things that we want to address that are bigger than sports. On the sports side, this is incredible. Just watching Judge right now, just hitting 61, thinking of what that means, the amount of sluggers that there have been in the Yankees history, and he's now, tied for the historic record. The only other thing that I can say is that to contextualize, Cole had one bad inning today. He pitched actually pretty well. He had a perfect game into the fifth.
I went to Rosen, right? I said to you, Paul, right?
Yes.
Let's go, Mr. Sis. Oh, did I go to Sis?
You sis, I'm up.
Okay,
Yes,
Mr.
I'm
Kirk,
up.
I'm losing track. I'm watching 9
That's okay.
games
You're
right
watching
now.
9 different things. I get it. Yeah, no, thoughts and prayers. Everybody in Florida, once again, for those that have made it out like Paul, glad you're safe. You'll get back home. I'm sure everything, hopefully everything will be back to normal. We know and deep down in our heart, everything will be for you guys. And, hopefully my cousin and her husband, they can stay safe tonight. And, we, like I said, we do this sports to lighten things up through events and, like this. So Aaron Judge hitting 61 while we're live on the air. That was pretty damn cool. And,
Yep.
that was definitely a nice little moment there. And a little fun fact, only people in that have hit 60 home runs in the American League, 3 Yankees, Ruth, Maris, and now Judge.
There you
Let's go. And let's go enjoy the games this week, fellas. And again, Paul, keep in touch. Let us know how you're doing down there. And
Yes, please.
we'll
Yeah.
we'll be in touch with you as well, of course.
Of course. Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate
All right,
it.
guys.